this call, which is about the last release, the 24.8 release that went live on the 17th of December, if I'm not mistaken. And we will also share a sneak preview with you of what we have in mind for the first couple of months in 25. The first 6 months are more or less committed, and we do have a surprise for you, given it's shortly after New Year's Day. My name is Maarten Verwaest. I'm one of the founders of the company, currently responsible for anything which is marketing and go-to-market. And sitting next to me,
Jonna Kokko here. Hi, nice to see you, everyone. Some of you might have already been in contact with me through support tickets or emails. So I'm customer success manager handling the support. Nice to see all of you there.
Yeah, so every email which is sent to support@limecraft.com passes Jonna's super sharp eye, and chances are that she's also responding. So without further ado, let's get into the details of the webinar. This session is recorded because there is quite a lot of people that were unfortunately not able to attend the meeting. So we will make available the recording of the meeting after the event, and as usual, we will also share the slides used. So let me share my screen, sound included, please. Yeah. We had some technical difficulties with the PowerPoint, so if you don't mind, I'll just use the PowerPoint setup as over here. After the practicalities, we'll quickly dive in a short introduction, and then as fast as possible, we'll go into the main body of the webinar, which is the 24.8 release, extending delivery workspaces. There's been a lot of extensions on import and output functionality of the subtitling factory, and we'll spend no more than a couple of words on the next release of Limecraft Edge, which some of you may know or use before opening up for question and answers and have a look at future events. The good majority of the people in the audience are Limecraft users, so I guess we can be fairly quick on the introduction. Nevertheless, I would like to bring to your attention that last year, for the first time, we became carbon neutral. So in 23, Limecraft emitted 133 metric tons of CO2. This year, it was close to 160. We're still working on our carbon footprint report, which we will again offset thanks to the services of GoForest. So once again, the last fiscal year will be closed with a carbon neutral situation. You'll learn about that in some of the upcoming blogs and communications. Furthermore, how we went from media asset management into supply chain management or delivery workspace type of applications, that's the subject of this webinar, so we don't need to spend too much time on this. Just one word on security. We care a lot about securing your material, about privacy around your material, protection against unauthorized access. As some of you may know, none of the material which is sent to Limecraft will be shared with third parties, not for training purposes, not for commercial purposes, none of that. That's exactly why, one of the reasons why we still host our own hardware in Belgium. We don't rely on Amazon or Microsoft or Google for that matter. Take also in consideration that Limecraft strives to minimize the number of file copies and transcode operations. That's to minimize the operational footprint and the number of compute cycles. It not just minimizes the operational footprint, for you it also means a shorter turnaround time, improving overall stability, etc. So, as some of you may know, shortly before Christmas, we had an event of scheduled downtime, planned maintenance, that took 9 minutes to be very precise, and it was more than 2 years before that. So the mean time between failure with Limecraft is very, very strong. And here is, ladies and gentlemen, how Limecraft makes a difference. We appreciate there is hundreds, if not thousands of suppliers in the media management space and transcoding and ingest and subtitling. But Limecraft capitalizes on a broad and deep understanding of the industry. The founding team of Limecraft and the lead developers were active at the Belgian state broadcaster long before we incorporated Limecraft. So there is more than 200 man-years of research and development in the Limecraft platform. Our unique hybrid cloud approach proves to be very successful. We're not asking you to forklift terabytes of content into the cloud. Again, we strive for optimized operational footprint. We appreciate you keep material on local storage on premise. We will connect it with online collaboration. And this year, we're adding low-code workflows to the mix, and we're going to push very hard on fit-for-purpose AI services that do what you expect with very high accuracy, where you can rely on for automation and further optimization of your production process. More on that in a second. So, to be more specific, what is Limecraft doing? We understand all the technical bits of ingest, transcoding, storage, editing, etc., etc. We know what journalists, editors, subtitlers expect from software. We understand that there is hundreds of deliverables flowing around, and that this is the way how production processes are stitched together. And it's our ambition to give you a single set of numbers, a software solution in place, making sure everyone is on the same page, and that no data is lost. That's what the mission of Limecraft, that's what it was all about. We do that for small and super large productions. One of our key customers is Arrow International Media in London. It's recently become part of Fremantle. And in summertime, they had a monster production where they were ingesting like 5,000 hours per month, content shot in the United States, brought over the internet to London for cutting, automatically logged, organized overnight using AI. Without Limecraft, such a production wouldn't have been possible, and they appreciate our services. So, as some of you know, we are on a tight release schedule. We publish 8 consecutive releases per year. Here is a summarized overview of the last 4 releases. And in the 24/8 release that rolled out on December 17th, We also sneaked in a smartphone app, which is not yet featured in our marketing, but we will point you to the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store because it's actually available, and we have made it available to our early adopters, hoping to get as much feedback as possible. And today we're going to talk about the concept of restricted comments and how the Delivery Workspace will recap what the Delivery Workspace is and how the Delivery Workspace is extended with review and verification capabilities. And we'll also spend a couple of words on how we've further extended the subtitling factory with more important export features. And after that, we're going to have a look at the roadmap of 25, opening up the floor for comments and suggestions. So let's have a look at the latest release. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, should you have any questions at all, please shoot. Jonna, who's sitting next to me, is looking at the chat window. And at the point where we distribute the slides, you can also reply us with some extra comments. We'll get back to that then as fast as possible. Since long, Limecraft is the platform of choice by producers that want to share material with team members or third parties. Think producers that want to share intermediary cuts with a broadcaster, or co-producers that want to collaborate on rushes, cuts, masters. They can be shared for review and verification. In that logic, people can comment on the clips that are shared. Since this latest release, we've introduced the concept of restricted comments. We understand that more and more collaboration is something potentially becoming very complex, with different teams in co-production scenarios working together, freelancers joining the crew, service companies like NetGem or IMG working for Premier League productions, initially willing to provide comments for internal purposes only before making them available to the wider group of collaborators. This is now possible. This is the concept of restricted comments for those who have used the review applications so far. And when people are joining in this commenting and review process, as a supervisor, at any point in time, you can take those comments, make the status of the visibility so that the whole team can look at it, or vice versa. Now, we understand we're getting into a rather complex situation in terms of access control here, because you can't control access to media with the company-wide Active Directory anymore. It gets, there's many shades of gray. It can get confusing between all the flavors of collaboration levels. So here is where, as a supervisor, you can no, one step back. By default, if you don't do anything at all, comments will be visible by anyone who has access to your media. If you want to add that layer of complexity and protect certain comments from wider visibility, the production administrator can go to the settings of the review application, and there switch on restricted comments, play around with the default visibility level, switch it on, modify the default, and then play with the access permissions on a role per role basis. I think it's better to, if you're interested in this particular feature, it's probably better to try it out rather than me or Jonna explaining it all in too much detail. And please note that there are a few sections on our knowledge base, specifically around the sharing, review, and verification of clips internally and to a wider scope of collaborators. And the whole notion of restricted comments is explained in detail on the knowledge base as well. Should you have any suggestions or questions, please don't hesitate to get back on the subject, either in the chat or afterwards using support@limecraft.com. As a matter of fact, the trigger for considering restriction levels of comments was because we deployed a couple of delivery workspaces. Now, what is a delivery workspace? You may ask yourself. Limecraft, like many other companies, comes from a media asset management background. And 3 years ago, we were asked by the largest commercial broadcaster in Belgium on this super simplified infographic on the right-hand side. It's the broadcaster that operates a playout system and streaming services, video on demand. And they also have a scheduling system, which in their case is Mediagenics Watson, but they were looking for a platform to nicely receive video files, masters from the production side in this infographic on the left-hand side. And not just ingesting the video files, but also all the ancillary files like posters and trailers, subtitle files, summaries, genre classification, metadata in general, and also interacting at the same time with third-party service providers like subtitle companies or promo producers and the likes. That's the concept of a delivery workspace. Both the producer and the broadcaster have their own media management system in place, but both parties are looking for an intermediary portal that can take material, make it available for approval. You hear me coming, and the suggestion to be able to comment on those assets before forwarding them to the broadcaster on the right-hand side, making it available for playout and distribution. That was the concept. This is how it's currently looking. So you recognize some of the elements of a typical Limecraft user interface, but basically for a series of what's it in English? Not blindly married, but
good question.
Anyway, it's a reality show with youngsters looking for a relationship, and in that series there is like 13 episodes. And what happens in our platform is that we get the complete bill of material of the entire series with its 13 episodes, plus all the collateral media, plus all the metadata specifications, and that opens up, exposes in Limecraft as a delivery workspace in which then the producers and any third party can start contributing video material, metadata, subtitle files, etc., with the ambition of minimizing as much as possible all the informal communication which would otherwise happen in email or WhatsApp or by pigeon. Besides the delivery workspace, Limecraft was already for producers the application that was positioned as an alternative for Vimeo or WeTransfer for sharing material with third parties for review, all in one user interface. So if in your capacity as a producer, if you would pick a couple of items, share them using this icon on the right-hand side, the receiver of such a share link would open a bin, not a folder like in WeTransfer or Dropbox, but open a window, which is a simplified version of Limecraft Flow, just allowing them to play out the clips and to add comments, possibly to approve or reject the item. So obviously there was a request or a logic to combine the delivery workspace and extend it with the review application. And I'm going to try to, that shows my window AO, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I see it.
Good, okay. That for the restricted comments. So I'll show you how it works. So here we are in a delivery workspace of a completely fictional series, Shadows of Victorian London. It's completely AI generated, so that's what it's good for, to prepare demo material. In this series 1, episode 1, here's the overview. Series 1, episode 1. There are we need video components, audio components, extras that can be basically anything, metadata statements, visuals that can be posters and trailers. But let's have a look at the different pieces, bits of video that in my capacity as a broadcaster, I am expecting that the producer delivers. And that can be, so in the category of required video items, that can have broadcaster masters or various types of masters, promo materials, lifted scenes for the web. Oh. Yeah, there we go. And it can also, and one of the categories of video files can also be specific materials for review. By the way, all of this, how a series is structured in episodes, which bits of audio, video, extras, metadata are required or optional, this is to be specified in advance by the broadcaster before it lands into Limecraft, and this is a way of structuring the process. In this subcategory of video files, I'm now putting on my hat as a producer I'm gonna, rather than to work on this piece of video for this particular deliverable or delivery request, I'm gonna create a new placeholder, then here on the spot upload a new piece of material, which is now being transferred. And transfer, by the way, for those familiar with the principle of a delivery workspace, can go via Signiant or Aspero, massive file catalyst, or via the Limecraft platform. We are completely indifferent. This as well is specified in the bill of material. You see that the transfer has been successfully executed, which results in a thumbnail. And just like you would expect from, like it behaves like a media asset management system, you can now click on the item and add one or more comments globally with the scope of the item or with specific in and out point in time. And then you see it's tracking those comments. And now, as a producer, this is the whole principle of the delivery workspace. You can then submit this deliverable for review. It's submitting. And then with my other hat on as a content manager on the broadcaster side, I can either accept this specific deliverable within this series by marking it as approved, or reject this particular deliverable, and as a consequence of that, the producer will be notified that another version is required, or that this specific deliverable has been approved. So prior to the 24.8 release, we had already this concept of delivery rejection and approval. What we've added now is the ability to review the items, which for those with a technical background or technical imagination, it looks simple, but it was fairly complex, because the majority of the users of delivery uses their own private file transfer mechanisms, Aspera, Signiant. So we have to go out, retrieve a proxy so that we can make it available for playout. Fairly complex setup. If anyone in the audience is interested in investigating if the delivery workspace could be a fit with their application architecture, please let us know. We would be very happy to give you a more hands-on demo. Moving back to the slides. Roughly 50% of the people in the audience is a language professional in their day-to-day life. And as we introduced in the introduction, 50% of the 24.8 release was all about subtitling. Those who are familiar with Limecraft know that subtitling originated from a BBC commission in 2016. In the meantime, it's become very, very, very accurate. When you start from high quality audio, which is the starting point of a good AI transcript, then rest assured, if the transcript is okay, the subtitles will be very, very accurate. The spotting, it's aligned with the rhythm of the edit. The location where we put the line breaks between two lines and where we cut between two subtitles is probably as good as we can get it. So what we've done between earlier releases and now is two specific things. First of all, we've expanded a lot on the input side of things, and secondly, we've worked a lot on the output of subtitle files. But why don't I go back to the browser window? Yeah, there it is. And I think we have it over here. Yeah. So as most of you know, brilliant. As most of you know, AI subtitling, like we used to propose it, was using transcription. The state-of-the-art transcription is very, very accurate.
This is Clark. He's a data scientist.
If you start from high-quality audio, grammatically correct audio, word error rates go down to 0. We're still working our way through multilingual audio, but single language audio, that's a done deal. And once the transcript is good to go with a single button click, you are producing subtitles out of it, a process which takes 10, 12 seconds at most. And the result, you to judge.
This is Clark. He's a data scientist. His job is to build accurate predictive models.
The result is very accurate, and in this case, completely usable. Now, what we've done recently is extending on the export options. So we learned by doing that if you're in the domain of broadcasting and you may be in need for more than just flat SRT files. So if you're subtitling for the deaf and the hard of hearing, this is what you need: an EBU time text or EBU STL file formats. You can now switch between open captions and level 1, level 2 teletext. The experts know what I'm talking about. Left, centered, or right justified, taking the embedded timecode in the video or the SMPTE timecode, and play around with the number of lines on top and at the bottom to fine-tune the layout characteristics of STL and EBU TT file formats. And that's for the file export of subtitles. Let me get rid of the subtitles. The other major improvement, or this is not an improvement, this is a completely new approach to handling subtitles. If you're a language service provider or you're a broadcaster ingesting content produced by someone else, you might be in a situation that you need to process an existing subtitle file prior to translation, or just to adjust the spotting rules to your style guide. So I was going to say, chances are the delivered master subtitle template is not 100% in line with your style guide, but it's probably more likely that it's not matching your style guide at all. So it's not a secret that this has been developed in collaboration with the Access Department of ITV, and they wanted to process US English and turn it into UK English, but also retroactively look for speaker changes to then play around with the colors. The speaker change triggers a color change. Retroactively align the subtitles with the scene changes. And a very, very complex one was measurement, QC, and correction of offsets and frame rates. Now, as those of you that are in subtitling may know, this is where it gets horribly complex, because a subtitle file usually doesn't indicate the time code, whether it's using 24 point something frames per second or 25 frames per second in the header of the file. So we are now able to assess the file, measure offset and frame rate, and correct accordingly, so that you don't have to find out by manual work. It looks like a couple of simple features, but together, if you're in the business of subtitling, doing the QC, the verification, and the correction at the same time upon import of subtitles may save you hours of manual work, or may save you the burden of redoing subtitles from scratch. That's for the subtitling. Oops. Small word on Edge 7.0 for those people who have digested the release notes. Edge 7.0 for a user is exactly the same as the earlier version of Edge, but we stripped off 80% of the underlying code and replaced it with a new foundation layer. Those familiar with Edge will notice improved stability and higher performance, but the main reason to make this change was to allow more functionality in the future. So this is just a practical note. Your documentation will remain the same. There's no need to re-educate people in Edge 7.0. It's mainly not even a cosmetic upgrade. It's a technical upgrade in the background. Now, last but not least, for 24.8, announced last year, please have a look at the Apple iStore, Apple App Store, or Google Play Store. The long-expected Limecraft app is available for download and installation. It's a first version. It's released silently, hoping to get as much feedback from interested users as possible. Displaying a production with thousands of items on the screen of a smartphone was quite of a challenge, but our engineering team did an amazing job in making it available, and we are currently in the process of getting as much feedback as possible. Then looking at, is it here? Not the next release, but the release after next release will include a batch of improvements of the smartphone application. So, as the last subject of today, we promised you to give you a sneak preview of what's on stage or what's in the pipeline for 25. And we've been talking about dashboards and insights in the past a couple of times. This was, we have to admit, a bigger challenge than we anticipated. Combination of metrics and visualization, but we're now finally in the last stages. In the next release on the, if I'm not mistaken, the 17th of February, we will be able to switch it on for all our enterprise plan customers. It's currently being beta tested, but then it will be more widely available, including the ability to configure notifications, so supervisors will be able to keep better track of their actual usage. Also, not in the February release, but in the March release, we will push the summarization, chaptering summarization and topic detection feature, extending the transcription. 2 use cases. It's been very useful for reality and documentary producers, massively improving the accessibility and the retrievability of content fragments. But we discovered there's another use case for broadcasters, where it's actually very, very useful to boil down all the available information to a synopsis, which can then be published into program guides, electronic program guides, etc. So 2 use cases for that one. And then there is a huge initiative upcoming in the area of low-code workflows. What's low-code workflows? Making sure we can customize basically any possible workflow that is dealing with file transfers or plugging in AI services or archiving features without you necessarily having to contact Limecraft engineers to set up such a workflow. So it will make you more independent and being able to configure your own workflows. Which brings us to the overview of the next couple of months. So on the 13th of February, this low-code workflow core will become available for the first time, dealing with storage volumes and some other areas of the application. The delivery workspaces will be expanded with tasks or deliverables you can assign to specific people and due dates. So becoming more and more of a scheduling system as well. And you will also see an upgrade of the Adobe panel with extended input and output capabilities. Whereas it's been originally designed to give you access to subtitling features, we're going to expand on the Adobe panel as well. In March, building on the low-code workflow initiative, we're going to roll out a whole archiving system, allowing you to archive collections or entire workspaces, reducing the required storage, making them slightly less accessible, still searchable, but less accessible. And it will come with the archiving function, so basically helping you to optimize the balance between performance and cost. Also scheduled for March is the summarization feature, which we talked about. And then 2 more add-ons for the subtitling, including condensing of the language, tidying up the language before cutting in subtitles, and translation, quote unquote, between US English and UK English or vice versa. And we also expect a next version of the smartphone app by that March release. Looking ahead, we're we're working our way to an upgraded version of the transcript editor on the roadmap on the right-hand side here, not yet committed, with an undo function, more interactivity, version control, cloud connector will become self-serviced, and we're working on a marketplace for AI services, so you don't rely on specific services embedded in Limecraft anymore. That's in a nutshell what we have on stage for the next couple of months. If there is anything urgent missing, please feel free to drop it in the chat, or when we send the slides of the webinar, please take a minute to reply to the email. We're humans, not robots. We appreciate your suggestions as always. Which brings me to the point where we usually open up the floor for questions. Is there any so far?
So far, I don't see any questions, but please don't hesitate to drop your questions now in the chat.
We'll still leave it open for another couple of minutes. Some upcoming events. The next release is scheduled on mid-February. I think it's 17th, in fact. Anyway, on a Tuesday, like always. Shortly later, followed by another webinar. 12th and 13th of March, Limecraft will be joining the DPP EU Broadcaster Summit, which this year is in Köln, in Germany. A very nice, very curated format, absolutely recommended to the people in the audience. March, there will be another release. Then from 5 to 9 April, we will be joining NAB, albeit as an attendant, not as an exhibitor. And then there is 2 more releases before the summer, but we'll keep you posted on that.
We got a question.
Please do.
So, will it be possible to define rules for the summarization tool, such as hesitation markers or repetitions? Or according to which specifications is it the text condensed?
Thank you for the question. In either case, making sure hesitations and repeated words, so reducing the language to its essence, is a key element. But the other part of your question was, would it be configurable? And the answer is yes. It is essential to pass along some parameters in the summarization, for example, to be able to specify the number of characters, or in case of topic detection, to specify the number of topics which will be detected. But we copy your suggestion to have an option, or at least a switch box, maybe a slider with what sensitivity we should housekeep the language.
Yeah. Thank you.
On that note, thank you very much for joining us today in this webinar. It's recorded. We're gonna cut head and tails and then make it available on our YouTube channel. Send along the link with the slides. Thanks again for joining us. Keep an eye on our social media. We'll keep you posted on the next couple of releases.